Plus, National Council for Arts and Culture seeks to channel youthful energy towards preserving cultural values. Hello and welcome to NTA Network News. We are live in Abuja. I am Jummai Yusuf. Hengino John Adams joins me from Lagos. Thanks for joining us. You can follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta/live.ng or all our social media handles displayed on the screen for updates. With an update, we begin the network news tonight. The 7-day ceasefire agreed upon by the warring parties in Sudan seems to have been violated as gunfire, looting and explosions ripped through the capital Khartoum early Thursday. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres says the international community has failed in Sudan. Details with Kolo Muhammad.
As the latest ceasefire expired at midnight Wednesday, the regular army said it was ready to abide by a new 7-day truce agreed with South Sudanese mediators. But there was no word from its foes in the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces RSF. Reports say loud explosions and exchanges of gunfire filled the air Thursday morning in Khartoum. United Nations top humanitarian official Martin Griffiths made a lightning visit to Sudan to try to negotiate safe passage for aid and aid workers after 6 trucks of food supplies from the World Food Programme were looted on their way to the war-torn western region of Darfur. The UN chief Antonio Guterres told reporters in Nairobi that the UN was taken by surprise by the conflict because the world body and others were hopeful that negotiations towards a civilian transition will be successful.
Refugee Agency has already affirmed that more than 100,000 people have fled and 800,000 people might flee the country in the coming days and weeks. The fighting needs to stop.
Deadly urban conflict broke out on April 15th between Sudan de facto leader Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, who commands the regular army, and his deputy-turned-rival Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, who heads the RSF. At least 550 people have been killed and 4,926 wounded. However, the UN chief says a country like Sudan that has suffered so much cannot afford a struggle for power between two people. Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
Now, the federal government has concluded arrangements to evacuate the remaining 3,500 Nigerians in Port of Sudan and Egypt. The government engaged Nigeria Air Force aircraft, Air Peace and Azman Airline. This is coming as the first batch of Nigerians return home, and most of them are now safe with their families. Musa Baba Ali has details.
They left the shores of Nigeria either for education or economic pursuits, but the war in Sudan today forced them to make unplanned journey back home.
Before, Sudan was very calm and cool. It was after this war, Sudan become something else, which we don't expect it to be.
And you see now my baby now, her eyes, she has problem with her eye. We slept outside the bus. There is cold, no food, nothing. Even though now I'm not feeling very well.
The 378 evacuees making up the first batch on board Air Peace and the Nigerian Air Force aircraft arrived at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, some minutes past 11 p.m. local time on Wednesday. The government officials from Ministries of Foreign Affairs, Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management and Social Development, Nigerians in diaspora and refugee commissions were on ground to receive the evacuees.
They've gone through a very traumatized period, but we're glad and we give thanks to Almighty Allah that all of them are back safely. No life was lost.
We can always do better as a government, as a people, but we're glad that at the end of it all, we're going to have everybody back, and the worst part is over.
So from the war coming
to the psychosocial support, to the immediate needs that they may require, like accommodation, transportation, to ensure that they are well settled back home. That's all part of our responsibility.
Their families were also on ground appreciating the government's effort.
Alhamdulillah, our Nigerian students and children had a very good home training. Despite all the troubles and suffering, when you ask them, how are you, they say, Mommy, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Some of the evacuees were reunited with their families immediately, while others were under the care of the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development pending the time they will go to their homes. From Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the ongoing Sudan conflict seems to pose a threat to this year's Hajj. This followed the refusal by 4 out of 5 airlines approved by the federal government to sign agreement with the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria over what they described as operating at a loss due to closure of Sudan airspace, being Nigeria's shortest route to Saudi Arabia. Now, Abdullah Musa Suleja tells us more.
The initial atmosphere at the commission venue of the event was lively, with exchange of banters. However, the mood changed on the agreement table when the 4 indigenous airlines approved for the airlift operations raised the issue of additional cost of rerouting the flight away from Sudan as the airspace has been shut down.
We have planned our agreement prior to the Sudan crisis, and we know that as we speak that there is ceasefire in Sudan. For how long that will take place, we don't know.
The Nigerian registered airlines are reluctant to sign the agreement, not because they don't like the business, not because they are greedy. They are trying to be realistic, and we appreciate their position.
In the meantime, a Saudi airline, the only foreign with 40% slot in the exercise, signed the agreement, damning the consequences.
Their position is distinct in the arrangement, different from the other Nigerian registered airlines. They are not in any way trying to betray their colleagues from Nigeria.
The Commission and the 4 airlines have agreed to meet again next Tuesday for possible resolution of the issue. Airlift of this year's intended pilgrims to Saudi Arabia is expected to begin on the 22nd of this month. Abdullah Musa Suleja, NTA News.
Now let's bring you up to speed with other news. In line with the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons Camp Exit Strategy, a transitional learning center has been launched for IDPs under its Project Educate All scheme. Ruth Aguero reports that this is to facilitate access to advanced learning skills for persons of concern.
No, Ebola, is Ebola come on?
Data from the United Nations Refugee Agency shows that millions of children living in IDP camps often do not acquire foundational skills in literacy and numeracy, and that has been the fate of these children in New Kuchingoro IDP camp in Abuja.
We have Ebola virus, we have corona.
Christiana Ishaya has been a volunteer teacher in the camp for 3 years now. Her desire is to see the dreams of these children come alive for them to have a better learning environment.
Don't have enough writing materials, and our nursery classes at the back is uncompleted.
All hope is not lost, as it is a new horizon for these children with the launch of this transitional learning center under the project Educate All by the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons in collaboration with its development partner to implement and facilitate access to advanced learning skills.
The ministry is working very hard with other stakeholders and government partners to ensure that the IDPs and refugees in various camps are not left behind.
Education is a powerful tool that can transform lives and communities. It is an investment in our future. Let's all continue to work together to ensure every child has access to quality education, regardless of their circumstances.
So what we have done is to bring together, globally recognized methodologies to support them to acquire the functional and essential skills that would make them readily available to be enrolled into formal education.
4,000 learners between the ages of 5 to 18 are to benefit from this phase of the program in 8 IDP camps located in the FCT and Nasarawa State. For the Commission, the Transitional Center is more than just a school. It is a place where the children are expected to regain a sense of normalcy and stability in their lives and create a path for a brighter future. In Abuja, Ruth Aguwele, NTA News.
Thank you, Ruth. The President-elect of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has described the provision of the magistrate court complex and other incentives to judicial officers in Rivers State as another way of curbing corruption among judicial officers. He made this known at the inauguration of the magistrate court complex constructed by the Rivers State government in Port Harcourt. Ogidi Nyekwe reports.
Of the Justice Ichendo Magistrate Court Complex is a response to the delay witnessed in the speedy dispensation of justice in the state. This has been attributed to the non-availability of adequate courtrooms for magistrates to sit and attend to matters. Part of the objectives of this project by the Rivers State government is also to help decongest the High Court premises. The President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu says he views the provision of the magistrate complex differently as a means to checking corruption. He said looking away from the working conditions and welfare of judicial officers will compel them to compromising justice.
This is a way to fight corruption. You don't expect your judges to live in squalor, to operate in squalor, to dispense justice in squalor. This is part of the changes that is necessary in our policy think tank.
Governor Wike is elated that he was able to start and complete the edifice, but worried about its maintenance.
Hope in the next 6 months it will still be like this. When you enter into the courtrooms, their conditions will be working. When you enter into the toilets, it will be working, water will flow. And I've told the CJ, look, you are the chief judge. It will be unfair in your tenure that you can maintain this edifice.
In Port Harcourt, Ogidi Nyekwe, NTA News.
Talking legislative matters, the House of Representatives has asked the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to develop a mechanism to remove deceased and fictitious voters from its register. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that House members believe this will make the election process more credible and transparent.
Referencing observations from the recently conducted general elections, Representative Lekia Bejide in a motion noted that names of deceased persons were among those displayed on the list of registered voters.
Even my own deceased father, who passed on long ago, still has his name displayed on the board.
Elections can be challenged in court because of these things. Anything that will improve on the electoral process, we should go for that.
The House urged INEC to provide a software that could enable families report the demise of their deceased registered relations to effect delete, and that a process for verification be put in place to fish out multiple registration. The motion from Gaza Jonathan urging authorities to be proactive in curbing the unrest between 3 communities in Kokona, Nasarawa State was adopted,
leading to the torching of 2 villages and the death of over 14 persons. Carry out immediate investigations and bring the attackers to justice.
Other features as plenary include second reading of 3 bills, among which is the bill seeking powers of enforcement and monitoring to Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission.
To grant the Commission enforcement powers in the monitoring of accruals and disbursement of revenue from the Federation account, and to bring the Act in conformity with the provisions of the Constitution as amended.
As recommended by the Committees on Finance and Debt, Loans and Aid Management, the House has granted approval to the federal government's request for the restructuring of Ways and Means with an additional 1 trillion naira and securitization of the outstanding 23 trillion naira. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
No fewer than 200 newly elected members of the House of Representatives are participating in the ongoing engagement at the NIM's 4-day retreat organized for newly elected public office holders across all political parties. State House correspondent Jide Onifadi reports.
It is day 3 of the 4-day strategic leadership retreat for the newly elected public office holders across all political parties. The first 2 days had featured elected governors and their deputies and members of the Senate. Here, newly elected members of the House of Representatives are interacting and are being exposed to various issues.
Every government should be able to know that every 10 years we are going to conduct census in Nigeria. This is just one out of many other recommendations that we have made.
Empowers the members elect with some of the basic requirements of preparing to take the mantle of leadership and to give our mental mindset on the challenges and responsibilities that is before us.
Very, very particular about making policies and ensuring that they are implemented upon and evaluated upon for the teeming good of all the interest groups that are involved in that policy that we are making. It is not going to be business as usual with this 10th Assembly.
The strategic leadership retreat holding at the banquet hall of the State House is being organized by the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies in collaboration with the Nigerian Institution of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. Jide Onifade, NTA News.
NTA Network News will be right back. Do stay.
Ask me what I want to be. I want to be a Lincoln. I want to be an historian whose mind must be clear, whose goal must be sharp, whose destination must be focused upon for developmental program. And once the foundation is right, Nigeria recovery is on your doorstep.
My life is a whole lot easier now, even when I'm working from home. I still get everything done. And faster too. Guys, I'll make my decision and get back to you. I take my meetings uninterrupted. Video call Catherine. Calling Catherine. Checking with Bay. No cracks. Go, go, go! Behind you! And when it's time to bond with my friends across the globe, I connect seamlessly, all thanks to my Airtel router.
Delivery is here.
Thank you. Be like me. Stay connected always with the Airtel home broadband.
Who are you talking to?
It's nothing.
You're talking to me?
No.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Are you a dealer in cars, jewelry, precious metals and stones and luxury goods? Are you into real estate or are you an estate agent, surveyor, valuer, developer or broker? Are you into the hospitality industry, lottery business, or are you a mortgage broker, tax consultant or an accountant? Do you have a supermarket, police betting and consulting or construction company? If you have, go and obtain your certification from the Special Control Unit Against Money Laundering, SCML, and be free to do your business within the ambits of the law. SCML has the responsibility to monitor, supervise, and regulate the activities of designated non-financial business and professions, DNFBPs, across the country. Please note that the SCML certificate is not a guarantee of legitimacy of any business. To register, visit www.scml.org. For collection of certificate, visit any EFCC office nearest to you. Remember, registration is free.
SCML, securing Nigeria's business environment. This message is from Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. EFCC. The rains are here again. Seasonal climate forecasts have revealed the possibility of flooding in several communities of Nigeria. Clear away solid wastes that block drainages and waterways to mitigate the risk of flooding in your area. Evacuate from flood-prone areas to safe higher grounds and report any flood incidents to emergency responders near you. Listen to weather forecast and comply to safety instructions. Disaster management is everybody's business. This message is brought to you by the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. NEMA, for the sake of the distressed. Good morning, Nigeria. Year after year, they have informed, educated, and entertained us when you needed information, knowledge, or an escape.
From generation to generation, the Nigerian broadcasting industry has worked tirelessly to serve you.
And now, this service will finally be recognized.
Come May 17th this year, broadcasters all over Nigeria will gather at the Hotel and Suites for the maiden edition of the Nigerian Broadcasting Awards, an award ceremony set to reward hard work and excellence in the broadcast media. Voting starts on 20th April and ends on 4th May 2023. Visit www.tnbawards.ng to vote now. They've served and they're still serving. It's time we say thank you. This award is organized by the Broadcasting Organizations of Nigeria, Bonn.
Thanks for joining us. Now, every society has cherished cultural values and norms that are associated with it. In Nigeria, this seems to be fading away with negative consequences. Now, the good news is the National Council for Arts and Culture is redirecting the attention of youths to these eroding cultural values. After all, the future is theirs. Warina Kalu Oka reports that this was the first of a sensitization workshop on culture, peace and national rebirth organized by the council in Abuja.
In the olden days in Nigeria, some practices like transgender were considered a taboo and never to be discussed openly. Nowadays, practices like transgender, money rituals, quest for quick money, and the praise for it without bothering about the sources are on the increase with open acceptance. For the custodian of Nigerian's cultural heritage, and the body is saddled with the responsibility of propagating its cultural values and morals, the National Council for Arts and Culture said this trend must be checked.
Give this orientation of looking inward. The cultural resources of this country, no country in Africa has like Nigeria.
We are Nigerians not by accident. It is by the divine arrangement of God. And our destiny is one and the same.
We are not in denial of the problems of this country. We will need stronger institutions.
Director General, National Council for Arts and Culture, Olusegun Roshere, says the youth are the greatest assets and the driving force of the development of the nation and should not be allowed to derail.
We must respect each other's culture and trust each other, believe in each other. It is our duty as Nigerians to make the country great.
The workshop with the theme Culture, Peace and National Rebirth and agenda setting is aimed at repositioning Nigeria on the path of growth and development. Oyina Kaloka, NTA News.
As gatekeepers and agenda setters for the society, the Center for Transparency and Advocacy says the press stands firmly as a backbone of the nation's democracy and therefore must be respected and protected. The center joined the rest of the world to commemorate this year's International Press Freedom Day. Timothy Yusuf reports.
The International Press Freedom Day is to celebrate the importance of press freedom and the vital role that journalists play in holding those in power accountable. Center for Transparency Advocacy believes that the press is not out of place when in good conscience it criticizes government in the interest of the society. Therefore, the press should be viewed as partners in shaping public opinion and should not in any way be gagged.
The press is a vital component of any democratic society, and we must work together to protect and promote press freedom. We must state categorically that the press has its role uniquely carved out for her as the fourth estate of the realm, as watchdog for the society to educate and inform the citizens.
A free press is critical to any democratic society, and citizens must do all they can to protect and promote it, the Center for Transparency Advocacy emphasized. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Now, following recommendation of the Controller General of Corrections, Haliru Nababa, the Civil Defense Correctional, Fire and Immigration Service Board has approved the promotion of Assistant Superintendent of Corrections 2, James Benjamin, to Assistant Superintendent of Corrections 1 for the gallantry displayed during the Kuje jail attack in June 2022. The Controller General, who was represented by the Deputy Controller General covering duty in charge of the Directorate of Human Resources, Ahmadu Adamu, said the service is poised to recognize and reward the commitment of its personnel in the discharge of their duties. A statement by Abubakar Umar, Public Relations Officer of the Nigerian Correctional Service, Adamu, while imploring officers and men of the service to be dedicated to duty, reminded the newly elevated officer that to whom much is given, much is expected, urging him not to relent. ASC1 James Benjamin was recruited into the service on 6th of August 2012 as Assistant Inspector, and until his present promotion was an Assistant Superintendent of Corrections 2. Now talking security, 121 kidnapped victims, including 2 abducted Chibok girls, have been rescued by troops of Operation Hadenkai in the northeast. This was announced at the Defense Media Periodic News Conference in Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
It's time for the highlight of major harvest in the ongoing armed forces operations across the country. Critical in this update that spanned through operations within the last 2 weeks is the rescue of 121 kidnapped victims in the northeast, including 2 Chibok schoolgirls abducted in 2014.
Troops, however, arrested 5 terrorists and rescued 121 civilians, comprising of 27 children and 49 females, including 2 Chibok schoolgirls who were on Syria 2 and 103 of the list.
In the north central and northwest, 39 terrorists were apprehended, 25 eliminated in different combat operations, while an ammunition dealer arrested in Kachia, Kaduna State.
Troops acting on credible intelligence raided the residence of a suspected indigenous people of Biafra and Eastern Security Network criminal member said to be in possession of arms and ammunition at Iyala town in Iyala local government area of Anambra State. Troops arrested the suspected criminals and recovered 3 AK-47 rifles, 4 AK-47 magazine, 49 pump action gun, 6 day gun, 75 rounds of 7.62mm special, 3,371 live cartridges.
Similarly, troops of Operation Octopus Grip have sustained efforts in the fight against the nation's economic sabotage with the apprehension of 21 boats, the activation of 41 illegal refining sites, and the arrest of 18 criminals. Several arms recovered and criminal camps destroyed within the period under review. From the Defense Headquarters in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Nigerian Armed Forces has between 2019 to 2023 rescued 20 Chibok schoolgirls, with 84 still remaining unaccounted for since their kidnap in April 2014. Theatre Commander Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadenkai, Major General Ibrahim Salau Ali, disclosed this while handing over 2 more rescued Chibok girls and their infants to Borno State government for rehabilitation. Maimuna Garba reports that one of the girls, pregnant with a 3rd child, delivered few days after she was rescued.
Mr. Marcos, rescued alongside her 1-year-old child, was on the serial number 103. While in captivity, she was possibly married to Boko Haram fighter known as Garba, who was killed during an operation and was later married to a second husband, Abba, in the Sambisa forest. Hawa Malta, who had 2 children and was pregnant at the time of the rescue, gave birth on the 29th of April in the hands of the military. She had initially been married to Sheik's cameraman and later one Malam Muhammad. According to the theatre commander, Major General Ibrahim Salon Ali, the girls and their infants have been given all the necessary medical and psychosocial support.
That Operation Hakan Kai remain resolute and determined in neutralizing all vestiges of terrorist elements.
General Ali said, out of the 276 Chibok schoolgirls abducted in 2014, 57 have escaped and 107 were released in 2018.
3 were recovered in 2019, while 2 others were also recovered in 2021. Last year, 2022, 11 of the Chibok schoolgirls were rescued, and so far in this year, 2023, we have rescued 2.
The theatre commander has confirmed the abduction and subsequent rescue of 2 humanitarian workers by the military and have been handed over to their organizations. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, says there are no gains in war, appealing to Nigerians within their spheres of influence to discourage those who may want to take the course of violence in ventilating their anger. The Chief of Defense Staff stated this at a symposium and books presentation on countering banditry and police dynamics on the election security management system in Abuja. Francis Fong reports.
It is a security management symposium and the presentation of books on sustaining the gains of war against banditry and insurrection, convened by DIG Habila Josak retired. Having fought terrorism and banditry for quite some time now, General Lucky Irabo believes the peace currently enjoyed in some parts of the country must be sustained.
In the very near future, there will be no sound of any gun. The guns will be silenced completely, and there will be peace across the country.
The 2 books on countering banditry and the Nigeria Police Force dynamics on election security management system were reviewed by the Vice Chancellor, Federal University, Lokoja, Professor Olayemi Akinwumi.
The book provides a comprehensive review of the police in election security management. It is recommended to the public, especially security forces, the electoral officers, and to all students in the field of electoral studies.
But I was bringing in practical thing, what I saw, what I did, and we discovered that there's much more for us to ask our security agencies to do more than what we've done.
Francis from NTA News.
And we would like to inform you that a documentary on the doctrinal foundation of Nigeria Air Force operations will air tonight at 10:05 on the network service of the NTA shortly after NTA Network News. All NTA stations are hereby directed to hook up. Time now to join Hingino in Lagos for trending news from that axis. Hello, Hingino.
Jumai. While Ghana is seeking the assistance of Nigeria in the quest to build a robust cabotage policy, key players see the move as a path to the actualization of the coastal voyage code system, where indigenes of 22 countries in the region can easily work and sail. Michael Olale reports that for prompt disbursement of the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund, CVFF, Nigeria is comparing notes in the area of interest rate and guidelines.
From propounding the forced suppression of piracy and other maritime offences law in the region to designing an integrated security and waterways protection infrastructure, Nigeria is constantly offering solutions to maritime needs. This visit by members of Ghana Maritime Authority is to learn from the craftsmaster on how it is seamlessly and strategically implementing its cabotage policy.
It will be better to learn firsthand the challenges Nigeria went through, so that we wouldn't need to go through the same. And if we are able to start like that, we will go faster than even Nigeria, because Nigeria had to do a lot of revision along the line.
The Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency stressed on the readiness to support Ghana in promoting sustainable development while growing digital capacity in line with global demands.
It will interest you to know that there has been an increase in the number of women participation in our maritime domain since the advent of the Cabotage Act, as about 68% of the vessels trading in the country's maritime space are Nigerian-owned.
On the disbursement of the fund, the agency said the federal government is still weighing the interest rate and guidelines proposed by the lending companies, but assured that any conditions agreed will favor stakeholders.
We want single digit, we got single digit, 8.5%, but we are asking them to go down again.
The impact for member nation is improved economic development, employment availability for seafarers within the region.
Both countries agreed that with a uniform cabotage policy in place, the region will increase fleet capacity while equally creating opportunities. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
Talking health now, HIV has remained a serious health challenge in Nigeria despite the decline in new infections as new cases are more prevalent among youths. HIV self-testing was introduced as one of the ways of ensuring more people get tested to know their status. In this report, our correspondent tells us more on self-testing.
Nigeria is making progress in the fight against HIV as data from the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA, shows a decline from 103,404 cases in 2019 to 92,323 in 2021. As of September 2022, over 1.6 million people were on treatment, representing a significant improvement from the over 830,000 people in 2017. Part of the global move to end the disease by 2030 was the introduction of the HIV self-testing kit some years ago. How knowledgeable are Nigerians about it?
I've never heard of it. I've actually seen the HIV kit before.
I don't know that I can test at home.
HIV self-testing is not new in the country. It gives a person privacy as one can conduct the test alone without supervision.
There are some hidden populations that are not likely to present in hospital because of stigma associated with HIV. So the only way to identify them so that you can provide service for them is to look at ways that is accepted by them that are not stigmatized, and that's where HIV self-testing comes in.
A swab against the mouth, the gums of the mouth, it collects cells, and then the swab is now put into a liquid where an individual will have to wait for approximately 20 minutes to see the result.
With more sensitization on HIV self-testing and other preventive measures, experts say Nigeria may meet the Sustainable Development Goal 3 target, which hinges on ending epidemics like HIV/AIDS by 2030.
Time now for some messages. Business News will be back with Danny after the break.
Where's Glory? Excuse me, ma'am.
Hello! Where's Glory now?
I did here.
If you don't go village, tell all our customer abi.
Everybody pay attention.
See, now Globe relocated 10x.
Now him I they take tension my customers.
When they dash me 10 times the credit when I load,
or even summer me double data join.
So with one family they give all of us, so you they enjoy up to
15,000 naira credit and data. And I say I never finish you.
See, when I say if you enjoy, if you join Globe relocated 10x, when I go get 1,000 naira welcome credit, you just carry your phone,
dial *777#. Finish.
Below you don't win. On a city here. If you're looking for Glow, this says now Glow with a fine. Now Glow with a go.
So enjoy 10 times the value of your recharge on Glow Berekete 10X. You also get 1,000 naira for calls and data and double data bonus on your subscription.
In this our country, Nigeria, all we are clamoring for, all we are agitating, we can achieve it. We can achieve all of it through water. Lala. I man need no bloodshed in this nation. Nobody should come and then scatter his country, because there is no need. If you want to don't make any incisive remark. As far as our armed forces are concerned, they are the ones who take the bricks to go and stand in the war front, and then they receive the bullet for you. They die so that you can live in peace. Respect them. It is not easy to die. Have you died before? Protect this country, because we do not have any other country apart from Nigeria. This Nigeria is our own. Let us fight and protect it. Let's.
Protein breakfast gets me every day. How do I know? Because my daddy goes to his work feeling good and always with a smile. Mommy is always filled with confidence. My sister is always in tune. And for me, learning new things becomes absolute fun. Because all day and every day, the pig goes on.
Start your day with a pig protein breakfast. Pig, rich for your pig. In the heat of the summer, danfo buses feel like extremely hot ovens. How do I cope with this heat?
And how do I cope with that bad odor?
By staying 5 degrees cooler.
Body odor is caused by germs, and on hot days, the sweating and odor are more. That's why you need to get the new improved Dettol Cool Soap, which offers up to 5 degrees instant cooling sensation and protects you from 99.9% odor-causing germs.
The new Milo 3-in-1 Milky and Creamy is truly milky and contains calcium. No need to add milk for that rich, creamy cup, which helps to nourish and energize your kids.
My baby is always running around, but keeping up is easy with the Huggies Nappy Pants, because the 360 comfort hip waistband makes it easy to open. Easy on, easy off, so my baby can keep on exploring.
Stubborn dark marks? Try new Nivea Lumina 630. Visibly reduces up to 10 years of stubborn dark marks in just 4 weeks. New Nivea Lumina 630. Get even and luminous skin.
Bye, Mom.
He's going to play in this weather. Why did you let him go? He might fall ill. And if he doesn't go out for practice, how will he win more trophies? To protect our family from illness-causing germs during the rainy season, we use Dettol soap every day.
Dettol with Germ Defense gives you protection. Rainy season brings a lot of germs, and Dettol soap's Germ Defense protects you from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol Sure.
Did you know that a quarter of the world's deaths from malaria is in Nigeria? And the reason being a mosquito that spreads malaria, a disease that puts everyone's life in distress. We believe that protection and prevention is the best cure in the fight to end malaria. Morphine insecticide with its improved formulation kills 100% mosquitoes that spread malaria. So, spread the message of how we can fight to end malaria with Morphine. Morphine, our #1 choice.
The European Union has unveiled proposals to crack down on corruption in the bloc, including a plan for a blacklist to punish non-EU individuals accused of corruption worldwide. The European Commission proposed that individuals and entities who committed serious acts of corruption would see their assets frozen in the EU and be banned from the bloc. The plan needs the approval of 27 EU member states. The proposals are similar to the U.S. Magnitsky Act, a law under which Washington punishes foreign government officials implicated in corruption or human rights abuses. Brussels' new mechanism would allow the EU to impose sanctions when acts of corruption seriously affect or risks affecting the objectives of EU's common foreign and security policy. And now European stocks close lower as ECB confirms a 25 basis point hike, just as Asia markets mixed after Fed raises rates. Boserebo has more on the markets.
The central bank ECB is widely expected to raise interest rates yet again as the central bank tries to tame inflation in the Eurozone. Most market watchers expect a 25 basis point hike, although a larger hike has not been ruled out given the inflation data released earlier this week.
US S&P 500 futures fell after the Federal Reserve hiked rates by another 25 basis points, and investors' fear of contagion in the region bank space returned. Futures linked to the broad market index slipped 0.2%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 88 points or 0.2%, and the Nasdaq 100 futures traded near the flat line up 0.06%. Asian markets were mixed after the U.S. Federal Reserve hiked rates by 25 basis points, as widely expected, bringing the federal fund rate range to 5%, its highest level since August 2007. For Africa, the market opened mostly negative.
Taking a look at the markets back home, the Nigerian equities market record first gain of the week as investors cash out 45 billion naira. At the end of today's trading session, a total of 770.1 million shares in 5,960 deals, corresponding to a market value of 5.742 billion naira were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, which was Wednesday, today's data shows 15% improvement in volume, 14% improvement in turnover, but 5% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 28.5 trillion naira. Transcorp Nigeria recorded the highest volume of 311 million traded shares, followed by Access Holdings with 219 million and Charms 31 million. That is business news. Network news continues with Jumai.
Thank you, Benny. It's nice doing business with you. Now, a 20-member media committee has been inaugurated by the Ministry of Information with a 12-point agenda to close nutrition gaps in Nigeria. The minister, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Information, Lydia Shehu Jafia, noted that despite the enormous resources expended by the government on nutrition interventions, the average annual rate of reduction for stunting is only 1.4% per year in the country. This therefore calls for urgent actions to strengthen current efforts at complementing government activities and reverse the trend.
Nutrition, as we all know, is a key component of the Sustainable Development Goals of this administration. As such, improvement in nutrition status is foundational to global development, since it is a critical part of health and development.
The reason for achieving this is what we are witnessing today with the inauguration of the National Media Team on Food and Nutrition. At this point in time, we are presently at a junction where Nigeria has refused to drop its title as #1 in Africa and second worldwide in terms of the number of children that are malnourished.
I think the need to change the narrative about the nutrition situation in Nigeria. Stakeholders and partners observe that the Special National Food and Nutrition Media Team is novel and a major step in consolidating and driving the success of nutrition programs and interventions. The 12 points of reference include: be responsible for the advancement of food and nutrition components on the Nigerian media space, creating awareness on food and nutrition benefits. Others are the need to prioritize agenda in the public and the decision-making space, media monitoring activities, and NDAs involved in food and nutrition reports. The committee will also highlight best practices and solutions, demand accountability from all involved in nutrition issues, as well as collaborate with all identifiable line stakeholders to improve the state of nutrition in the country. Judicial matters. Advocates of social justice have identified the important role that adherence to the rule of law plays in entrenching a humane and orderly society. Having identified this, experts in legal practice are training young lawyers on effectively using the administration of criminal justice law to further the cause of justice in Nigeria. Olabode Arewa reports.
A young legal practitioner, Melissa Okeke, is one of such lawyers routinely involved in prosecuting or defending defendants in criminal cases. She and others like her commended the wide-ranging legal reforms brought about by the Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015 in ensuring the speedy dispensation of criminal justice. They are part of this group of young lawyers undergoing further tutelage on the National minimum standards necessary for full implementation of the AGJA.
I think abridging the time will affect, how will I say, the administration of justice, because if everybody knows that, okay, criminal trial maybe cannot exceed a particular time, or this is the particular process, I feel like it actually makes you do your best.
A senior advocate of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Akishaye Judge, and Justice Sylvester Origi of the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory advocated review of trial within trial while adopting the use of plea forms by defendants.
All of this asset recovery and fight for transparency and accountability have benefited from the effective implementation of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act and other laws.
The defendant has pleaded not guilty, and so all the judge will need to do is that the plea of the defendant is as stated in his plea form. That's all.
Abolition of the practice is part of the amendment that the Senate passed in the Administration of Criminal Justice Bill of 2022, awaiting the assent of President Muhammadu Buhari. In Abuja, Olabodarewa, NTA News.
We'll take a break, more when we return.
Bye, Mom.
He's going to play in this weather. Why did you let him go? He might fall ill. And if he doesn't go out for practice, how will he win more trophies? To protect our family from illness-causing germs during the rainy season, we use Dettol soap every day.
Dettol with Germ Defense gives you protection. Rainy season brings a lot of germs, and Dettol soap's Germ Defense protects you from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol soap.
My baby is always running around, but keeping up is easy with the Huggies Nappy Pants, because the 360 comfort fit waistband makes it easy to open, easy on, easy off, so my baby can keep on exploring.
Did you know that a quarter of the world's deaths from malaria is in Nigeria? And the reason being a mosquito that spreads malaria, a disease that puts everyone's life in distress. We believe that protection and prevention is the best cure in the fight to end malaria. Morphine insecticide with its improved formulation kills 100% mosquitoes that spread malaria. So, spread the message of how we can fight to end malaria with Morphine. Morphine, our #1 choice.
In the heat of the summer, downfall buses feel like extremely hot ovens. How do I cope with this heat?
And how do I cope with that bad odor?
By staying 5 degrees cooler.
Body odor is caused by germs, and on hot days, the sweating and the odor are more. That's why you need to get the new improved Dettol Cool Soap, which offers up to 5 degrees instant cooling sensation and protects you from 99.9% odor-causing germs.
You're welcome back. Next, it's Sport Update with Chukunozo Nwabuze.
Minister of Youth and Sports Development Sunday Dare Wednesday in Abuja received the Best Performing Minister Award at the 2023 Nigeria Sports Philanthropists and Nigeria Sports Governors Merit Award ceremony in recognition of men and women who have contributed to the growth and development of sports in the country. Other award recipients include President of the Nigerian Olympic Committee Habu Gumel, Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki, his deputy Philip Shaibu, amongst others. The immediate past Director General of NTA, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, and the CEO of NDLEA, Buba Marwa, served as guest speakers at the event.
The NTA collaborated with the LMC and transmitted matches of the Nigerian Premier League virtually for free. That was a form of sports philanthropy. That was our contribution. So everybody has a role to play in sports philanthropy.
They've been supporting this industry for a very long time without appreciation. So we need to appreciate them, and the appreciation is to encourage them and bring in more people to support the industry.
Meanwhile, all is set for the 4th Nigeria Tennis Federation VEMP National Open Tennis Championship holding at the Package B of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. Secretary General of NTF, Sharma Mapra, in a chat with NTA Sports, says logistics are already in place to ensure a memorable tennis fiesta as players and officials across the country converge on the venue.
With the good support we have from the board, we have a early preparation, so in the area of logistics I'm sure we don't have any issue.
The qualifying round of the week-long tournament gets underway Friday with the men draw 7-off on Monday. Away from Nigeria, Aslan Karasev Thursday advanced to his first career ATP 1000 Masters semi-finals following Strasser's 7-6-6-4 triumph over Zhang Zhang of China in their quarter-final encounter at the ongoing 2023 Madrid Open. With sports updates, I am Chukunonso Nwabweze, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari commiserates with the royal family of Agba, the government and people of Cross River State, and the Minister of State Power, Prince Godi Jerry Agba, over the demise of His Royal Majesty Uti, Dr. Joseph Davis Agba, Uti Ehem, the third of Utuaga, Uti Ukani of Uti Ukani. The president in a condolence message says, as one of the longest-serving monarchs in Africa and recipient of numerous honors both at home and abroad, the late monarch's steadfast devotion to the well-being of his people since ascending the throne in 1959 will never be forgotten. So also with his wisdom, courage, dignity and fairness in the several positions he held, continue to serve as a shining example to all. President Buhari prays for the peaceful repose of the soul of the royal father and comfort to all who mourn. And don't forget, before we go, we remind you on the documentary on Doctrinal Foundation on NAF, all NTA media stations should hook up to NTA. Thanks for watching. I am Jummai Yusuf.